Hi guys, how's everybody doing? It's time again for another McFarlane Dragon review. Series 5 is going to be a hard act to follow, but fortunately I think that this guy lends some strength to Series 6. This is a new type of dragon, the Ice Dragon. Now we've seen Ice Dragons in stories or movies before. If you've played Dungeons and Dragons, you know of the White Dragon. Well, McFarlane has given us something very different from what we might expect a typical ice dragon to be, so let's have a look. As you can see, there are only two parts, the base and the dragon in one whole piece. That's it. Now, this dragon is truly magnificent. There are so many things to like about it. I'm going to start with what I feel is the most striking thing about this dragon, the color. In no other dragon is the paint job more integral to making the concept work than this ice dragon. Now we've seen plenty of white ice dragons before, and certainly white it would be an expected color, but McFarlane artists didn't take the conventional way out. There's a general idea of cool colors, of course, beginning with a dirty white base, but layering then on top of that an ice blue, and then Prussian blue highlights. That's the overall scheme in a nutshell. But every single part has subtle differences in the way that these colors have been applied. The neck sail and head crest have a very dark, deep blue color, but with little veinings of white. It reminds me of the dark ocean waves with some speckles of foam. The double sail is almost purely dark blue, but the distal tail is a white and light blue. So there's a nice variation in color. Even the spikes seem to follow this color scheme. And I like especially this look here. It looks like white stained with blue ink. And you'll find that on every single spike. So that's very nice. The wings, however, are where things get truly beautiful. The coloration consists of black, white, and shades of blue, but they blend very differently on each side. Dorsally, you will see a lot more contrast, but the fade is still present. On the ventral side, there's a little bit less contrast because of a whitewash, which has a lightening effect on everything, giving it a much softer look. But if you look at this pattern here and also here, I'm reminded alternately of a blizzard or a starry winter night, and there's just there's just an ephemeral, delicate quality to the wings that is really best appreciated up close. Now the detail, there's a wealth of it. On the sides are large, almost crude plates that interlock in an organic looking mosaic, and that's a very nice look to it. And these decrease in size as you move up the animal. There's also a separate feature here, like an armored keel, and a design that reminds me of ice crystals. Here. The base of each spike is an almost coral-like feature. So that's really nice. We've seen the wings already, but here's one amazing thing. These speckles here may look like they're just painted on. When you touch them, you realize they're actually sculpted. In fact, it feels like I'm actually touching the fin of a fish more than anything else. So maybe these wings, useless for flying, are actually modified fins for swimming in the icy waters. This is a rather pointy and wavy animal in silhouette. You see the way these curves rise and fall, blending perfectly with the wings here, the sails, gives the overall a very gorgeous look, reminiscent of waves. The head is unusual. There are three horns here, But there's also a hadrosaur-like crest here, like a Parasaurolophus. But it's a very delicate and very intricate one that seems, if you look up close, it looks almost like it's been carved. There's a lot of detail here. And the top half looks like a separate plate, separate from the rest of the head, and it terminates in this beak-like point. These two forward projections are actually very sharp, potentially very delicate, but they make the overall creature look that much more badass. Now let's go to the other end. The tail here is long, very long. In fact, it's longer than the rest of the entire animal. And in this respect, it reminds me of some sauropod dinosaurs. It might be for signaling or the longest whiplash weapon ever, but here you actually see a tail pedal like that on a Tylosaurus, suggesting it's for swimming. And it's also very nice to see these vestiges of these spikes here. It's nice to see them represented on this tail end. Unusual for a dragon is this fur. If you notice the big furry feet. Obviously, it's reminiscent of a polar bear. Now, I love the very detailed woodcut look here. The texturing is done very, very nicely. Looks like a woodcut. You also have fur under the chin and the ventral neck, which gives it a very ancient wise look. Now, is it strange for a reptile to have fur? Well, actually, millions of years ago, there were mammal-like reptiles which gave rise to mammals. We know some dinosaurs had feathers, maybe even possibly T-Rex, as this badass illustration by R.J. Palmer shows. And there is, of course, this. Yep, the tauntaun is a reptile. The feet are huge. This is a creature with a very low center of gravity, as it very well needs to be to keep a good footing on the ice. And look at this cute little dew claws here on each of the feet. I like that touch. Articulation in McFarlane dragons is usually a matter of convenience to allow squeezing into a clamshell. Still, this dragon has some unusual points. First, there's the swivel at the base here. Now, because of this overlapping beard, there's actually not an obvious lack of continuity if you were to actually pose it. So that's good. But even more unusual is this joint up here. This is a ball and socket joint. So you can not only twist it left and right, I'm going to show you from the top, you can actually tilt it this way. So there's quite a lot of posability here in the neck, which is a very nice touch. There's also a wire armature here in the tail, so you can actually get some fairly decent poses here. Now the base. There's of course this human, which I'm assuming is female, though it's hard to tell. At this scale, don't expect much detail, though effort has been made. There's stuff here, there's a belt pouch. The head is a little too big though. You might imagine a simple white with a few different shades would be sufficient to call it a day. However, there are hints of rock underlying the fallen snow. There's what looks like a log here. And that makes this base a rather worthy match for this magnificent dragon. Just one thing to note though, there is a problem with the paint that they use for this dragon, and unfortunately, after 4 years, he feels somewhat sticky to the touch. And I think that is something that is quite common in what other collectors have experienced as well. I think that thankfully, as an ice dragon, this can be reduced by a coating of baby powder and not distract from the paintwork. By the way, this is the very first dragon that I bought for myself. And together with the Series 5 water dragon that I got as a gift. for a friend started my interest in the McFarlane dragons, not to mention, sadly, the expenditures that followed. So this is a very special dragon for me. And that's it. The Series 6 Dragon, a most unusual entry and a great start to the series. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I'll see you soon. Oh yeah, just a final message. We're almost finished. Actually, we have finished the first half of the year. So it's time to do a stock take of where you are in the progress of those resolutions you might have set for yourself at the start of the new year. I know one of mine was to try to get these reviews out a bit more regularly. I hope that I'm doing a better job than I did in previous years. So thanks for your continued support, and I'll see you soon.